So yesterday was my 26th birthday, and I like to think about birthdays a lot. The traditions of birthdays and kind of things going around. I was actually sitting right here yesterday with my mom, and we made a list of all the birthdays that I've had, and it's interesting to see the progression, kind of the repetition, how things go. I mean, you can't always get all the details. I love the memories. I love this past birthday. They're all different, and I think in a unique way, even if you kind of do similar things. One thing that I noticed is, there's kind of two ways to memorize your birthdays, is because they're sort of cyclical patterns that repeat themselves, sort of representing regular motions. In some sense, they're very similar to New Year's in that sense. And I feel like my birthdays have been very interesting because, they sort of symbolize this movement of time. I've always tried to grasp as much as I can. I always knew that life is kind of like limited. You want to do as much as you can. I mean, that's what's pushed me to do a lot. And birthday-wise, I have some traditions, personal traditions, kind of private things, and also the public kind of traditions. An example of the private traditions is I usually stay up till midnight, and I think I'm usually alone because I don't think I've ever really been partying at midnight. And there's sort of exceptions to the exception. I was sort of out, but it was different. I used to be in my room, which is right over here, to my left, which might appear to be my right when the images flip, but it's that way. I used to, after my first year of college at St. John's College in Annapolis, Maryland, I used to, I was very interested in ancient Greek and Latin and philosophy. So, I spend most of my time reading this, and I also, of course, study ancient Greek and Latin on my free time. And what I found out was that it was very special to me, and I felt like it was representing something that I was doing. And I would be studying it, and I'd be in my room, and then all of a sudden, my room would change into kind of this, I got like Greek over here, I got my mathematics over here, Euclidean and Greek and English, and now my Euclid is over here. Well, actually I have a Euclid over there in my room, but a Euclid over here because I have the Greek and English Euclid. Because there's a new translation around the time that I went to college, I used a different one. But I also used the popular Euclid. But anyway, I digress. And I was playing Clue, almost sort of against myself, and it's sort of like you're trying to solve these mysteries, and I always felt like, it was something symbolic to be doing that. And I'd be doing that on New Year's and on my birthdays. I found myself standing often for those, and I would, kind of progress henceforth. And then sometimes I'd be reading the Bible. I'd find myself standing around the stroke of midnight. This past instant birthday, actually, I sort of was really tired, and I just sort of slept through it. But I did wake up a little bit after midnight, and I sort of acknowledged that. But it's interesting to notice the passage of time, because each second, I remember I was in a bazaar in Istanbul, Turkey, when I was 11 years old, and I don't know, the extremely friendly people, sometimes you just talk about stuff, and sometimes you just chat it up. And I remember this one guy, I was sort of out of the blue, you sort of have to develop a rapport when you're talking with people. You don't just kind of ask right away how much things are, because they'll often give it to you for, a fairly good price. They'll say, I remember this one guy's like, we can never take a second back, no matter how rich you are. I guess that's so true, but it's interesting that the seconds kind of progress. The regular motions, they may seem at time as dilated, but it's not. But anyway, that was sort of a private tradition. Public traditions is I sometimes go out with friends. I had this tradition in Austin, Texas. We would go to St. Edward's Park and a bookstore possibly, and we'd all be together, and we'd just go over there and hike and just kind of talk about nature and chat it up. It's so beautiful. It is August 23rd, my birthday, and sometimes we go the day after. I just love hiking, and I love that park in specific. My middle name is Edward, but I think it's just such a beautiful park. I really, really love it, and it's something very special to me. And it's hard to describe sometimes, but I really enjoyed that park. We didn't go this year. I just wasn't feeling up for it. We may still go again. I mean, the funny thing is when I'm back here visiting from college, university, which I don't even be transferring to a job, and that's why this 26th birthday is kind of special. Um, I would be back for these kind of transitory months, and it was really special that we could get together with these group of friends that arguably I've known since 4 or 5 years old, and possibly Phil younger. And we go together. We go to Main Event. We go to Kirby Lane. Um, Depending on my birthday, we'd get together. It'd be beautiful. And here I am. It's just so. I mean, it's just great. It's just a transcendent experience in some sense. Just going to the park and driving there together is some of the best memories. It's hot, but we get in the car and it's kind of cool. It's nice. We get some food, stay out late. Maybe last year we went to gyms. One year that was particularly interesting was my 24th birthday. Now, on August 22nd, August 21st, excuse me, I left the United States to go live in Amsterdam for a year. And I basically didn't come back for a year. And my first full day, I landed in Amsterdam August 22nd, and my first full day was August 23rd, my birthday, 2016. So I turned 24. I didn't know anybody, and I got to know this awesome people that I'm still friends with, and it was a really beautiful day. And I think it's sort of a birthday to remember forever. It was the Erasmus kind of international student network, and I got connected with it. And Amsterdam is such a fun, beautiful city, hanging out in the park, especially then. I mean, I remember I left Texas, it was 90-something degrees, and then I went to Amsterdam, and they were having a heat wave, and it was 90-something degrees. I was thinking it'd be cooler, but it was kind of the same, and we kind of worried about that, but it was, Amsterdam is just so beautiful. And particularly that first week there was just resplendent. I mean, you're kind of nervous moving to another country essentially for the first time. Of course, I had visited other countries and been to Amsterdam several times before then, but it was really beautiful. And those are kind of the public things. So I sometimes merge those. This year, kind of took it slow. We just kind of hung out at home, went out to a restaurant together, and that's about it. But I think the traditions are sort of, they make it memorable, and when you ascribe emotion to memory, and not in a negative way, but when you ascribe emotion to memory, then it becomes really kind of special. You're like, wow, I remember the time I was in Edinburgh for the first time, and I saw the Scottish flag, or when I was crossing the border. Man, that being on top of the Eiffel Tower, it was just a great time. And that's real special in some sense. So, yeah, good times.